response to my community poll, I decided to take a complete 180 and expose my audience to other interests of mine. I appreciate all the support so far, and I really hope you enjoy this upload, especially as out of every video so far, this one I feel the most passion for. Now let's get right into it. It's been 7 years since the debut of this game that many of you click on this video may only just be remembering about Doki Doki Literature Club, the game that will change the status quo and me forever. On the surface, Doki Doki Literature Club seems to be like your average dating sim. Cute anime girls, all with their own personalities, body types, and essentially inclined to fall in love with the main character, who is always unnamed and is supposed to represent the player. And I as well fell into this assumption when first playing this game, that I barely went through the introduction the first time. Now growing older and more mature, I gave the game a shot, and it was a shot that I'll never regret. And I could probably say this game is and forever will be my favorite. Doki Doki Literature Club is a paragon. It's a real thrill. Getting settled in from the beginning, the false image of security is created that this is just a regular dating sim and you're essentially just trying to score a date with one of the girls and that's it. But playing through and really soaking in all elements of this game, it proved itself as a horror perfectionist. Never did I anticipate any of the anomalies that would happen in the game, from Sayori's into Yuri's into just Monika, always keeping me on edge. That is all thanks to Salvato and the team that worked on such a game, being able to encapsulate such an amazing psychological horror element to it that nobody else has done before and probably won't be able to replicate. Doki Doki Literature Club is in a tier of its own for this, but there's more to this game that many of you may have overlooked enjoying the horror, which I did too, until I strived for that special ending, and then it hit me. Doki Doki Literature Club is not purely just a horror game. You may start asking, of course it's a horror game, that was the whole idea. Monika was a mastermind behind it all, trying to get with the main character and wanted to throw away anything for it. But after spending so much time with the characters, getting to know them like they were real people, Doki Doki Literature Club dives into something that many won't dare to touch, and even though Salvato and his team may have unknowingly done it, they dove deep into the mystery that is human emotion. You may be confused, and I understand that, but just stick with me. By the time we make it to the end of this video, everything should tie together. So why a literature club? A literature club is only the most perfect dynamic for such a topic, as it's well known that writing is a form of expression for people, specifically poetry. A form of writing meant to essentially pour your feelings on the page, slowly but thoughtfully to the ink of your pen. And as you read more and more poems from each of the girls, it becomes apparent the struggles that they go through and the different ways they each describe those feelings, even from when they talk, that they're all going through something. Sayori is struggling to find the motivation to get up some days and struggling with herself, often believing that she has no worth and doesn't merit anyone's attention or worry. Natsuki has an abusive father when in school and with the club wants to be understood, but it seems that everyone doesn't understand her through her form of expression. Yuri also has trouble expressing herself, especially when it comes to her excitement, going through indescribable means to deal with those feelings. And Monika suffers from essentially trying to be a perfectionist and trying to keep this image up of herself until she completely loses it and gives up on that idea. And even when it comes to her love for the main character, it's all different amongst them. Natsuki teases the main character as her love language. Yuri obsesses herself over the main character, saying some pretty interesting things. Monika distances herself, at least in the very beginning, until she takes out everyone so that you can only pay attention to her. Sayori loves the main character, but it pains her when any expression is shown back towards her, tracing back to her self-esteem. Now you might be saying, yeah, these girls are suffering from mental illnesses and nothing more. But sticking to these rigid definitions of mental illness and applying it to these girls, it seems that's not enough, and you get to noticing that symptoms will cross over between mental illnesses. Taking a look at Sayori and Yuri, both have intentions of hurting themselves. Sayori unless takes her own life, and so does Yuri, but these two on their own are completely different people with different intentions, and their eventual ends came from a different sequence of events. So do both classify the same? Aside from genetic illnesses that may affect someone's cognitive ability or mental health, the possibility arises that human emotions and feelings can't be described with just singular words. I personally feel myself falling into that. Some days I don't want to push myself like Sayori, and I feel guilty about people worrying over me and that I'm not worth it. I feel like Natsuki when I try to express myself in the way I know best, then the meaning flies completely over people's heads, and I'm not taken seriously. Some days I feel like Yuri, having trouble expressing myself at all and once doing so, worrying about how anything about me may hurt others, on top of even making the slightest mistake that one would normally brush off, I linger upon, only increasing feelings of guilt. And some days like Monika, trying to keep this perfectionist image until it all breaks apart and shatters, having to eventually give up on it, only destroying yourself. Such trivial feelings and experiences I find can't be just classified with singular terms. And looking at these girls separately, it's apparent even for those who aren't emotionally intelligent that human feelings can't be described with just these terms alone. Taking us back to the literature club, the girls can only truly express themselves through their writing. These girls aren't just sad, they're not just mad, they're not just only happy. It's a mix of feelings. Maybe the real answer to what we find amongst each other as a species that we call emotion can be described by one-shot words, and it truly is a melting pot. Emotions that can't be put into simple definitions, can't be generalized because they're too complex for that, like the many strings that make up a spider web, except they aren't uniform and it's different in everybody. That was the true beauty I got from this game. Aside from all the fun that the horror was in the experience, this was my true takeaway. That this was more than just a horror, but it was a window into the idea of human emotions that anyone has yet to get a true grasp upon. They're complexities that only through thoughtful expression based upon whatever the person feels is best can be truly described and understood. What drives people to do certain things, why they make certain choices, we can only sit there in awe, observing, trying to piece the puzzle together until you realize you can't. The pieces can only be put together by the puzzle itself, by that person. For example, when Yuri asks the main character if you love her, no matter what answer choice you pick, it ends the same, whether you say yes or no. And with the pieces laid out, I can't put them together. Because on one hand, you can say what she unallowed herself due to pure excitement, but you can also say what she unallowed herself because of her obsession and like the answer of no. But it's not that simple. Like with Sayori, what led up to her allowing herself no matter what you said to comfort her? The outcome was the same, so why? These actions were performed based upon emotion, and these emotions most likely didn't come from the pleasure of decision making alone, which only adds upon the idea of human emotion that sure, maybe you can be mad after something happens, or you're not mad because of that happening, but it was kind of like your final straw, or had nothing to do with that at all and you just feel like blowing up. Be there for someone the best way we can, be there for them, and eventually it's up to the person to piece their own jigsaw pieces to solve their own puzzle, whatever the outcome is. We can't predict human emotions exactly. There may be signs, but we can't always get them right on the dot. There are variables that will never be constant. But where there's darkness, light must exist, and it's pretty scary. But putting it this way, if human beings and their emotions were so rigid, it wouldn't be any fun. We wouldn't be any different from each other, as we could all be classified by these single definitions. No differentiation between one another. The only thing differentiating us is probably being the names that we respond to. Not all joy stems from happiness. Not all sadness stems from trauma. Feelings can't be completely described with these single words, because if they were, we would never make it to the point for there to be a term for every emotion. We would be stuck for eternity, stuck in the ununiform web that is human emotion. I just want to thank Salvato and everyone else a part of the project that is Doki Doki Literature Club. It truly is something I hold close to my heart and has changed the way that I view the world, people, and myself. Altogether, no words can express the gratitude I feel for what is not just lines of code, but the passion of Salvato and the team, making it the masterpiece amongst masterpieces.